Performance and efficiency is always important, but it's critically important in times like these where we're experiencing exceptionally high feed and forage prices. And with us to talk about improving the performance and efficiency of cattle is Dr. Jacques Fuselier of Merck Animal Health. He's a technical services veterinarian with Merck. Thanks for spending a little time with us today.
Glad to be here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about deworming and why it's such a critically important tool to use in improving the performance of cattle.
Yeah, internal parasites are very damaging to cattle, and it doesn't take a lot to have some negative impacts. As far as dry matter intake is drastically reduced in parasitized cattle. The immune system is also going to be altered, and so the response to disease or vaccines could be limited due to parasitism. And reproductive performance is going to be reduced in parasitized cattle, and they don't have to be large amounts, but even subclinical amounts can cause some of these problems. So proper deworming is very helpful in calf performance.
And you're saying you may not even see it visually as you look at your herd.
That's right. It's very hard to look at animals and say they're wormy, they are not.
Yeah.
If it gets to that point, you're so far behind the ball, there's no way to catch up.
That's
so you
right.
want to stay ahead of it.
Well, tell our viewers, what would you consider to be some of the key best practices in implementing an effective deworming program?
Well, first off, working with the veterinarian.
Yeah.
It's going to be very critical because they know the goals of your operation and what's important in your area and the marketing of these animals. But it's not just a willy-nilly, we'll only deworm them whenever we have them caught. There's things like fecal egg count reduction tests that really give you a good idea of if your deworm is working, what the worm burden is on your cattle. And what that does is if you take samples, and it doesn't have to be from a specific animal, just 20 random samples of fresh fecal pats in the pasture, you can submit that to a parasitologist, and Merck actually supplies some kits with prepaid shipping with all the things you need to get some fecal samples.
Yes.
Have them submitted, parasitologists read it and give you an idea of fecal egg count at the day that you deworm them, and then 14 days later submit another sample, and it'll tell you a reduction, and you're looking for 90% reduction in the egg count.
Nice.
And that's an indication that your dewormer is working. If you don't get that 90+% reduction, there's something wrong with the program, and we need to revisit it and see what's going on. And the veterinarian that you work with can also give you an idea of, as far as times of the year and the seasonality and how to stay ahead of worms and when you can expect that to have an uptick in parasite burden.
So speaking of deworming programs, clearly there's a lot of us that are knowledgeable about pour-ons or injectables, but take a feed-through product like your Safeguard product. Tell us about the effectiveness of that product, and maybe more importantly, how can I be convinced as a producer that each animal is getting an adequate amount of this Safeguard product?
Yeah, great. These non-handling feed-through products are very helpful because it's easy to deworm these cattle without having to bring them up.
Yes.
We have a database that we've been keeping since 2006 of fecal egg counts fecal samples that have been submitted with these reduction tests. And if you look at the efficacy of the feed form versus the drench, it's within 2 percentage points. So you're looking at like 98% with the drench versus 96% reduction.
Wow.
And the question always does come up. Sometimes we have some boss cows and some that are a little more timid. How do I know? The beauty is this molecule, fenbendazole, that's in Safeguard, accumulates in the fat of the parasite, and they can't excrete it. So after a few days worth of eating, if they don't get a therapeutic dose first day, by day 2 or 3, there'll be enough accumulated in the worm. It'll kill the worm and shed it out, and that's, so feed it with confidence. It's over the course of a few days, there will reach a therapeutic level within the parasite and have a good efficacy.
That really is encouraging and news that I didn't know. Thank you so much for spending a little time with us.
Welcome, glad to be here.
Now, if you'd like to know more about this product, just visit safeguardworks.com.